Welcome back to Sleepy Science Tales. It is so lovely to have you here this evening, settling gently into a moment of calm as the world around you begins to quieten down. If you feel comfortable, allow your body to sink a little deeper into whatever is supporting you, letting your shoulders relax and letting your breathing find a soft, steady rhythm. And, as always, if you would like to help this peaceful little community grow, feel free to share in the comments where you are listening from around the world, because it is always heartwarming to see people drifting off to sleep from so many different places. Tonight, we are taking a slow and unhurried journey across the planet you call home, moving through the story of Earth in a peaceful, steady way, allowing your thoughts to drift wherever they want to go, while the words flow past like a quiet tide. You do not need to focus on anything in particular. You do not need to stay fully alert. You simply let yourself float in the sound of the narration as it guides you over oceans, mountains, drifting continents, ancient skies, and the gentle rhythms that shape the world beneath your feet. Imagine Earth as it is now, not as a fast-moving place filled with noise and rush, but as a calm, blue world, turning slowly in the darkness of space. Picture the planet from far away, wrapped in soft, swirling clouds and deep oceans, with warm sunlight glowing across one side, while the other rests under a cool blanket of night. The atmosphere forms a delicate, luminous band of blue around the planet, holding the air you breathe, filtering the sunlight, and carrying the drifting patterns of weather that move across the continents in quiet, predictable cycles. Let yourself drift a little closer, slowly, as if you are gliding without weight. See how the oceans cover most of the world, shimmering in layers of blue that change with depth, light, and distance. Waves rise and fall with gentle repetition, shaped by the quiet pull of the moon, while vast currents curl through the water like underwater pathways, carrying warmth, nutrients, and life from one corner of the planet to another. Coastlines curve around continents like soft natural borders, shaped over millions of years by tides, storms, and shifting sediments. As you move over the land, the shapes of Earth unfold in smooth, steady transitions. Forests stretch across valleys and foothills, their treetops moving in a slow, leafy sway. Mountains rise through layers of cloud, their ridges carved across ages by wind, rain, and the slow creep of ancient ice. Plains roll outward in wide, open stretches where wind moves like a soft brushstroke, bending grasses and carrying warmth or coolness in long, sweeping motions. Even deserts, still and golden, hold a quiet beauty as their dunes shift under patient, unhurried winds. Above all of this, the atmosphere drifts like a gentle river of air. Clouds gather, stretch, dissolve, and drift again, carried by steady currents that circle the planet. Winds flow from warm regions to cooler ones, shaping weather across days and seasons. Sunlight filters through these layers during the day, warming the land and water, before releasing that warmth at night as the world cools under a sky scattered with stars. Everything moves in cycles, calm and continuous, repeating in rhythms that carry a deep sense of balance. The Earth you know today is a collection of connected patterns, each one supporting the next, forming a quiet harmony that unfolds across land, sea, and sky. Water evaporates, forms clouds, falls as rain or snow, and makes its way back to the oceans. Warm air rises, cool air settles, and winds drift across continents. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and form the foundation of life in countless ecosystems. Animals move through habitats shaped by geography and climate, each one part of the delicate balance that makes the planet feel alive. Let yourself float gently across these landscapes, drifting above forests that stretch endlessly toward the horizon, gliding over lakes that reflect the sky like smooth glass, and passing over mountains that hold ancient memories in their ridges and stones. From this quiet vantage point, Earth feels steady and peaceful, shaped by slow forces and long histories that have unfolded with patience far beyond anything we normally notice. In a moment, we will leave the present behind and drift back into the deep past, into a time before oceans existed, before continents formed, before the atmosphere wrapped itself around the planet. We will explore how Earth emerged from dust and fire, how it cooled, how water arrived and spread into vast oceans, and how the earliest stages of life began to take shape across its young and changing surface. For now, breathe softly. Let your thoughts loosen, and simply enjoy the feeling of floating above your home planet, watching it turn in quiet, calm motion as the story continues to unfold in its own slow and gentle way. As we drift further from the Earth you know now, imagine the scene slowly dissolving into darkness, as if the gentle blue planet fades into a distant glow and the clock of time begins to unwind. We move back through ages, passing through eras and epochs like faint layers of mist, until we reach a moment long before mountains rose, long before oceans formed, long before any trace of life touched the surface. Here, in the quiet stillness of deep time, Earth is waiting to be born. Try to picture the solar system as it once looked, not as the stable, orderly place you recognize, but as a swirling cloud of dust, gas, and glowing fragments drifting around a young, bright sun. The space around you feels wide and hazy, filled with warm golden light from the newborn star, and scattered particles move in slow spirals as gravity begins to shape them into something new. This cloud is called the solar nebula, a vast and gentle cradle where planets take their first steps into existence. Within this drifting cloud, tiny grains of rock, metal, and ice collide softly, sticking together grain by grain, slowly forming clusters that grow larger with every encounter. It is a process that plays out over unimaginable stretches of time. And yet, when viewed from your sleepy vantage point, it feels calm, controlled, and almost delicate, as if the universe is shaping Earth with careful, patient hands. These early clusters, small and fragile at first, begin merging into larger bodies called planetesimals, each one glowing faintly as the energy of collisions warms their interiors. As the scene shifts, you watch these planetesimals drift through the nebula, slowly attracting more material, growing heavier, and pulling even more fragments toward them. The young Earth begins as one of these glowing worlds, molten and soft, shaped by constant impacts that release waves of heat. The air around it would have shimmered with dust and fire, yet from the quiet distance where you observe, it feels serene, as if you're witnessing the slow rise of a distant lantern in a dark room. Over time, countless collisions build the Earth into a larger and larger sphere, and with each impact, the surface becomes hotter until the entire young planet glows with deep red light, covered in a vast ocean of liquid rock. This molten world turns slowly, its surface swirling with magma, its atmosphere thick with vapors rising from the heat below. It is not yet a place where life could exist, but there is something profoundly peaceful about it, as if the planet is taking its first quiet breaths, settling into the shape it will carry through billions of years. As the molten Earth turns beneath you, imagine the heat rising in shimmering waves and streams of liquid rock flowing like slow rivers across its surface. deep inside, heavy metals begin to sink downward through the molten layers. Iron and nickel flow toward the center, forming the core, while lighter materials rise toward the surface. This separation marks the beginning of the structure Earth will keep forever: a deep metallic heart, a surrounding mantle of rock, and a surface that will one day cool into solid crust. Slowly, the surface begins to lose heat into space, though the cooling is not quick or simple. The planet glows like a dim ember, and thick clouds of volcanic gas rise from the surface, creating a dense, heavy atmosphere rich with water vapor, carbon dioxide, and other gases. Lightning flashes through these early clouds, illuminating the swirling layers of steam and ash, yet even this feels slow, controlled, and strangely beautiful when seen from above. In this slow cooling process, something remarkable begins to happen. As temperatures drop over millions of years, the water vapor in the thick atmosphere cools enough to condense. Raindrops begin to fall, at first as a faint drizzle, then as endless sheets of rain that pour over the molten surface. This rain continues for ages, filling low places, carving early basins, and slowly creating the first oceans. Imagine the sound of that ancient rainfall, steady and soothing, like a soft whisper across the planet's glowing skin. The oceans deepen over time, spreading into vast, warm bodies of water that steam and shimmer under the faint sunlight of the distant young star. The crust thickens beneath them, hardening into early continental fragments and ocean floors. Volcanoes rise from the still hot mantle below, adding new land through great fountains of molten rock. The Earth is changing, shaping itself inch by inch, forming the quiet foundations that everything else will one day rest upon. Above these early oceans, the sky is still thick and cloudy, filled with volcanic gases that drift and swirl in shifting patterns. Yet the world cools a little more with each passing age, reducing the storms, calming the atmosphere, and allowing sunlight to reach the surface more clearly. From the soft edge of space, you can watch the slow transformation as the fiery glow fades from the crust and the oceans take on deeper shades of blue. The young Earth begins to resemble the planet you recognize, though it is still wild, still restless, still finding balance. As you continue to drift above this early world, let your thoughts wander over the gentle movements below. Volcanoes rise and fall, continents begin to form their first outlines, and the oceans settle into vast basins. Everything is slow, everything is patient, everything is carried by forces older than memory. And as the planet cools, another quiet transformation takes place. The sky begins to clear enough for sunlight to shape the atmosphere, guiding the cycles of warmth and cooling that will one day support life. In the soft distance of this ancient landscape, you can sense that something important is beginning. The Earth has a stable crust. It has deep oceans. It has a sky wrapped around it like a protective blanket. The world has become calm enough, steady enough, and balanced enough for the next chapter to begin. A chapter that will reshape the planet in ways even more profound than its fiery birth. For now, rest in this moment, floating above a newly formed Earth, watching it turn in quiet, glowing circles. The storms are settling. The crust is hardening. The oceans are deepening. And in the next chapter, the planet will begin to shift and rearrange itself, forming continents that drift slowly through time, like ancient, wandering islands. As the newly formed Earth settles into its slow and steady rotation, imagine yourself drifting just above the surface, watching the warm oceans shimmer beneath clouds that are beginning to thin. The rain has eased into calmer cycles, and the first fragments of solid crust have formed across the planet. creating small, scattered islands of rock rising gently from the steaming sea. These early pieces of land are the first hints of continents, fragile at first, but destined to grow, merge, and transform the face of Earth in ways that will continue for billions of years. The cooling crust is not a single smooth shell, but a collection of plates, vast pieces of rock that rest upon the deeper mantle, which moves slowly beneath them like a warm, flowing river. Though the motion is incredibly gradual, almost impossible to notice in the moment, it shapes the world endlessly, pushing pieces of land together, pulling them apart, and sending them drifting across the surface in a quiet, keen, ancient dance. From your calm vantage point above the planet, the movement looks graceful, almost like a slow choreography unfolding in deep time. These first continental fragments, known as cretons, form the foundations of what will one day become the familiar continents of Earth. At this early stage, they are small and isolated, scattered across the surface like drifting islands separated by wide stretches of ocean. Yet beneath them, heat from the mantle rises in soft, steady currents, lifting some regions upward while allowing others to sink slightly, guiding the movement of the plates with patient consistency. As you observe from above, imagine the slow approach of two ancient continents drawn together over millions of years. When they finally meet, their colliding edges crumple like soft cloth, folding upward into towering mountain ranges that rise into the sky with breathtaking scale. These mountains are unlike anything seen today, vast and rugged, shaped by forces that operate so slowly and quietly that they feel almost gentle from afar. Peaks rise, valleys deepen, and new landscapes form beneath the drifting clouds, creating a world filled with contours carved over unimaginable spans of time. Elsewhere on the planet, plates drift apart instead of colliding, and as they pull away from each other, deep cracks open along the ocean floor. From these openings, molten rock rises in shimmering streams, cooling quickly as it reaches the water and forming new sections of oceanic crust. These mid-ocean ridges stretch across the seafloor like glowing seams, slowly adding new layers of rock as Earth continues its calm, steady renewal. As the plates move, the continents continue their slow wandering across the surface, drifting through climates that shift as they travel. Regions once near the poles move closer to the equator, warming over millions of years, while areas once bathed in sunlight migrate toward colder latitudes. Forests, deserts, and oceans shift with these movements, reshaping the planet's ecosystems long before any plants or animals exist to witness the change. You might picture the Earth as a giant puzzle, where each piece moves gently over the surface, occasionally joining another, sometimes breaking apart, always shifting in a slow, rhythmic pattern that continues even now, beneath the places we stand. This steady motion is driven by heat deep within the planet, a quiet pulse that drives convection in the mantle and keeps the crust in constant, unhurried motion. Deep beneath the oceans, at the edges of these drifting plates, one slab of crust may slide slowly beneath another in a process called subduction. This movement is calm from a distance, but powerful in effect, as the sinking plate melts into the mantle, releasing heat that fuels volcanoes at the surface. These volcanoes rise like soft lanterns along the edges of continents, adding new rock, shaping coastlines, and releasing gases that will one day help build the atmosphere needed for life to thrive. Above these vast processes, clouds drift gently across the young sky, unaware of the slow transformations taking place below. Rain falls softly onto newly forming mountains, carrying minerals into streams that wind across the fresh landscape before emptying into the warm oceans. The world is beginning to stabilize, settling into a rhythm of creation and movement that will continue for eons. As the continents grow, merge, and separate, the planet enters cycles of supercontinents, where all the land on Earth slowly joins into a single massive body before eventually drifting apart once more. These cycles repeat many times throughout Earth's history, each one shaping climates, ocean currents, and the foundations of future biodiversity. Though life has not yet taken hold on land or in the oceans, the stage is being set with remarkable precision, as if the planet is quietly preparing for what is to come. Drifting above the young Earth, watching the continents shift and reshape themselves, you can almost feel the patience of the planet, the slow power of deep time working gently beneath every surface feature. The world is building its identity, inch by inch, layer by layer, continent by continent, guided by forces that have no need to hurry. Every mountain, every ocean basin, every coastline that will ever exist begins with these early movements, these calm and ancient motions of rock and heat. As we leave this chapter behind, imagine the continents settling into temporary positions, the oceans deepening around them, the sky slowly clearing as volcanic gases disperse, and the atmosphere becoming gentle enough for sunlight to warm the planet in a more stable rhythm. The world is ready for its next transformation, one that will bring it closer to the planet you recognize. A world of oceans filled with the earliest hints of life. In the next chapter, we will drift down to the surface and explore how water, light, and chemistry work together to spark the first living forms in Earth's vast and ancient seas. As the continents settle into their early shapes and the crust cools beneath the young sky, imagine yourself drifting downward toward the surface, letting the vast, shimmering oceans rise up to greet you. These waters stretch across most of the planet, warm from the fading heat of formation, and filled with minerals, sunlight, and gentle currents that move like the slow breath of early Earth. The air above them is clearer now, calm and quiet, carrying only the faintest traces of volcanic mist as the atmosphere begins to stabilize. From your peaceful vantage point above the sea, watch how the sunlight filters through the young atmosphere, soft and golden, scattering across the surface in rippling reflections. The waves rise and fall with a steady, soothing rhythm, shaped by the tug of the moon and the early winds that drift across the open water. Beneath these waves lies a world unlike anything that exists today, a world filled with swirling chemicals, shifting temperatures, and pockets of energy that collect in small, sheltered places. The oceans of this early Earth are not simply vast pools of water. They are immense laboratories where countless reactions unfold quietly and continuously. Minerals from the land dissolve into the water, carried by rain and rivers, spreading through the seas like drifting whispers. Hydrothermal vents rise from the ocean floor, releasing warm, mineral-rich plumes into the cooler water above, creating gentle gradients of temperature and chemistry that swirl together like soft underwater clouds. Imagine drifting down toward one of these vents, hovering above its warm, rising plume. The water around you glows faintly with trapped heat, and tiny mineral particles float upward before settling slowly into the darkness. These vents act as natural furnaces, providing energy that fuels reactions between simple molecules dissolved in the ancient sea. Here, in the quiet glow of these underwater springs, some of the earliest building blocks of life begin to form, connecting and separating, accumulating and dispersing, all guided by a quiet interplay of chemistry, chance. Not far from these deep-sea vents, Other places across the ocean offer their own gentle cradles for early chemistry. Shallow pools along volcanic shores warm and pool with the rising and falling tides. Lightning from early storms sends bursts of energy into the air and water. Sunlight filters into clear, protected pockets far from the open sea. Everywhere, simple molecules drift, combine, and separate again, testing countless possibilities over millions of years. It is in these patient cycles, repeated again and again, that the first sparks of life slowly emerge. Picture microscopic structures forming in the warm shallows, membranes beginning to take shape around fragile clusters of molecules, and early reactions producing patterns that can repeat themselves. These tiny, delicate systems are the ancestors of everything that will one day live on Earth. Yet in this moment, they are just soft beginnings, drifting like little specks of possibility across the water. As time moves on, these early structures become more stable, learning to use energy from their surroundings in simple, rhythmic ways. Some begin to absorb sunlight, storing small bursts of energy. Others settle near hydrothermal vents, drawing warmth and minerals from the rising plumes. In the gentle darkness of the ancient ocean, life is taking its first quiet breaths, forming the most basic threads of a pattern that will one day spread across the entire world. Imagine yourself drifting through this underwater realm, moving slowly through fields of minerals, currents, and faint glimmers of light. The water feels calm and timeless, carrying tiny bubbles upward and drifting small particles in slow spirals. Nothing rushes here. Nothing pushes forward too quickly. The first forms of life are simple, yes, but they are steady, persistent, and shaped by the same forces of patience and balance that have guided Earth since its birth. Over time, these early life forms grow slightly more complex, learning to replicate more reliably, stabilizing their delicate structures and spreading through the oceans in faint, drifting clouds. They absorb energy from their environment, release simple byproducts into the water, and slowly change the chemical balance of the world around them. Without knowing it, they are shaping the future atmosphere, the future oceans, and the conditions that will one day support countless forms of life. These earliest organisms are not visible to the naked eye, yet from your peaceful vantage point above the water, their presence feels profound. They fill the ocean with quiet activity, drifting through shafts of sunlight, settling near warm vents, and gradually expanding across the seas. They do not rush, they do not struggle, they simply exist, guided by gentle cycles of energy and time. As millions of years pass, these simple organisms begin to influence the world above them. Some learn to use sunlight more efficiently, releasing oxygen as a byproduct of their slow, steady reactions. At first, the oxygen dissolves into the water, mixing with minerals and nourishing other tiny organisms. But as the process continues, more and more oxygen accumulates, rising through the water and entering the sky one delicate molecule at a time. You can imagine the atmosphere changing slowly, gaining just a hint of breathable air, so faint at first that the planet barely notices. Yet this small shift will one day reshape everything, creating the foundation for complex life and filling the sky with the blue color that defines Earth today. As the chapter draws to a close, imagine yourself drifting upward through the water, rising from the deep vents into the open sea, and finally reaching the surface where gentle waves rise beneath the young sky. The world is still quiet, still simple, still calm, yet it is full of possibility. The foundation of life has been laid, and the oceans hold the first spark of the endless story that will follow. As the early oceans settle into calmer patterns and the faintest traces of oxygen begin to gather in the sky, imagine yourself drifting once again above the surface of the planet, watching soft waves roll beneath scattered clouds. The world is still young, still simple in many ways, yet the oceans now carry tiny sparks of life that are slowly learning to influence the planet around them. These early organisms drift through the water in delicate patterns, absorbing sunlight, releasing oxygen, and quietly shaping the chemistry of the world. In the warm shallows near sunlit coastlines, you can imagine clouds of microscopic organisms swirling like soft, translucent mist just beneath the surface. These simple life forms multiply in gentle cycles, carried by currents and tides, forming faint, shimmering patches that move across the water like drifting shadows of color. With each passing generation, they transform small amounts of sunlight into energy, and with each breath-like movement, they release tiny bursts of oxygen into the sea and, eventually, into the air above. The atmosphere responds slowly at first, because early Earth is a place where patience guides every change. The oxygen produced by these organisms binds with minerals on the sea floor, forming layers of iron-rich stone that settle like quiet records of the planet's earliest days. Only after countless cycles do the oceans begin to saturate with oxygen, allowing more to rise into the sky. From your calm vantage point, the transformation feels gradual and gentle, like watching dawn slowly brighten the horizon after a long night. As oxygen spreads through the oceans, new forms of life emerge, each one slightly more complex than the last, each one adapting to the changing chemistry of the water. Some organisms develop ways to use oxygen more efficiently, gaining bursts of energy that allow them to grow, swim, or reshape themselves in small but meaningful ways. Others develop new methods of capturing sunlight, covering the shallow seas with drifting layers of quiet activity that glow softly beneath the beams of ancient sunlight. Imagine drifting through these oceans, hovering above carpets of microbial mats that stretch across the seafloor like living tapestries, flickering gently as currents move above them. These mats stabilize sediments, trap minerals, and release oxygen in steady rhythmic pulses. Over time, they build layered structures known as stromatolites, which rise slowly from the seafloor like small, rounded mounds of stone. These structures remain some of Earth's oldest fossils, silent reminders of the world as it once existed, long before complex life took shape. As the oceans become richer in oxygen, the atmosphere begins to change even more noticeably. Oxygen accumulates in the sky, forming a protective layer high above the surface, a shield that absorbs harmful sunlight and creates a safer environment for life to grow. The blue color of the sky becomes brighter as oxygen increases, and the air begins to resemble the atmosphere you know today, though still far from complete. With this protective layer in place, life gains the freedom to explore new forms and new behaviors. Tiny organisms begin combining into larger structures, forming early multicellular clusters that drift through the water like gentle clouds. These clusters respond to light, temperature, and nutrients, moving slowly with the currents, drifting across shallow seas and deep waters alike. Each shift, each new adaptation, is slow, patient, and shaped by millions of years of steady change. As time continues, these early multicellular organisms develop specialized parts, allowing them to sense their environment, gather energy more efficiently, and react to small disturbances in the water. You might imagine them pulsing softly, expanding and contracting in rhythmic motions, or gliding through the water with gentle wave-like movements. Their presence adds new layers of complexity to the ocean, creating interactions and relationships that will one day form the basis of food webs and ecosystems. Meanwhile, the continents continue their slow drift across the surface, guided by the deep motions of the mantle far below. Some continents move toward warmer latitudes, while others drift toward cooler regions. As they travel, they change the patterns of currents, winds, and climates. Mountain ranges rise, oceans deepen, and coastlines shift, creating new environments in which life can expand. The world beneath the water and the world above it are now intertwined, each one shaping the other in cycles that flow steadily through time. You can imagine the shorelines changing over millions of years, with shallow seas expanding and retreating as continents move. New habitats appear in warm lagoons, while deep trenches form in colder regions. Coral-like organisms begin constructing early reefs in some places, creating small sanctuaries for life, while vast stretches of open ocean remain calm and quiet, filled with drifting clouds of tiny organisms that continue to shape the chemistry of the water and air. As oxygen continues to accumulate, the oceans begin to sparkle with more vibrant forms of life. Some organisms become larger, developing simple tissues that allow them to sense light, move more deliberately, or filter nutrients from the water. Others become the ancestors of future species, forming branching patterns of evolution that will one day lead to plants, animals, and the complex diversity that will fill the world. From your peaceful vantage point above this ancient planet, it feels as though Earth is beginning to awaken, stretching into its potential with slow, deliberate movements. The once simple oceans now hold layers of activity, from drifting mats on the seafloor to pulsing clusters in the open water. The atmosphere above is becoming breathable, the continents below are shifting into new shapes, and the conditions for a world full of life are quietly falling into place. As this chapter closes, imagine the world beneath you, glowing softly with energy, warmed by sunlight, cooled by deep currents, and filled with tiny organisms that drift in patterns shaped by time and tide. The stage is set for something remarkable. In the next chapter, life will expand into even greater forms, filling the oceans with creatures that move, hunt, and grow, transforming the underwater world into a place of color, motion, and endless evolution. As millions of years drift by in slow, gentle waves, imagine the oceans continuing to deepen in color, clarity, and complexity. The early world of simple drifting organisms has begun to change, shaped by oxygen, sunlight, and the steady pull of time. From your calm vantage point high above the surface, the oceans now appear richer, more layered, almost shimmering with a quiet potential. The simple forms that once floated alone are giving way to something new, something more organized, more interactive, more alive. If you drift down toward the surface, imagine slipping beneath the gentle waves and entering a world that is slowly filling with motion. At first, the water seems still, as if the peaceful quiet of early Earth still lingers in the depths. But as your eyes adjust, you begin to notice small movements in the water, faint pulses of life drifting through shafts of sunlight. Tiny organisms swirl in soft patterns, clustering together like delicate clouds that move with the currents, responding to changes in light, warmth, and nutrients. Over time, these simple creatures begin to grow larger, developing more defined shapes, softer bodies, and early forms of symmetry. Some stretch outward like gentle ribbons, swaying with the water in slow, hypnotic motions. Others flatten into soft, leaf-like forms that glide above the seafloor, feeding on the tiny particles drifting through the water. Life is becoming more structured now, forming patterns that repeat across generations, and establishing the foundations for the ecosystems that will soon flourish. Imagine drifting deeper through the water, watching the faint outlines of early animals that glide across the seafloor with slow, deliberate movement. These creatures, soft-bodied and fragile, navigate their environment with simple instincts, responding to chemical cues, shifting light, and changing currents. They gather around nutrient-rich areas, forming loose communities that drift, expand, and separate with each passing tide. Though their bodies are primitive, they represent a profound step forward, marking the beginning of true animal life on Earth. In some regions, soft, frond-like organisms rise from the seafloor like delicate underwater gardens. They sway gently with the currents, filtering nutrients from the water and creating small habitats that shelter other early forms of life. These ancient ecosystems are peaceful, unhurried, and filled with gentle rhythms that feel soothing to watch from above. The oceans are no longer empty. They are becoming places of interaction, movement, and gentle transformation. As oxygen continues to accumulate in the water and the atmosphere above, life gains new opportunities to grow more complex. Energy becomes easier to access, allowing organisms to support larger bodies, more specialized cells, and increasingly varied forms. Over countless generations, these improvements build upon each other, creating intricate structures within the bodies of early animals. Simple nerves begin to appear. Muscles form in faint patterns. Eye spots develop, allowing creatures to sense light and shadow. The oceans become more dynamic, more expressive, more alive. Imagine the water around you, filling with subtle flashes of movement. Early predators emerge, gliding gracefully through the water with soft, rippling bodies. Their shapes are simple but effective, allowing them to navigate the currents with control and intention. They drift forward, sensing tiny vibrations, gently closing in on clouds of smaller organisms that scatter in slow spirals. The ocean is beginning to feel alive in a new way, a place where life interacts with life, where the senses awaken, where behavior begins to matter. Over time, these interactions grow richer and more varied. Some creatures develop firmer bodies, forming early shells or simple protective coatings. Others branch into new shapes, curling, spiraling, or flattening in ways that help them move more efficiently or gather energy more effectively. The seafloor becomes a canvas of shapes and textures, from soft mats of microbial life to gentle, branching structures that catch the drifting particles carried by the tides. As you continue to drift through this ancient sea, imagine the light shifting above you as the continents move slowly through different climates. Warm periods allow life to spread more freely, while cooler times encourage migration, adaptation, and new evolutionary paths. These long cycles of temperature shape the oceans over millions of years, guiding life into new forms and new behaviors. The world beneath the water becomes a place of constant, gentle experimentation, where every creature tries something slightly different, and every adaptation opens a new path for the future. Eventually, a remarkable moment arrives, one that will change the oceans forever. Life begins to explode into new forms, diversifying at a pace the world has never seen before. Creatures develop limbs, spines, shells, and complex sensory systems. Eyes become more advanced, allowing animals to see the world in ways never possible before. Mouthparts develop, creating new methods of feeding, hunting, and survival. Bodies become more flexible, more responsive, more capable of movement, and the oceans become a vibrant, dynamic landscape of color and motion. Imagine the water swirling with shapes and patterns as early fish-like creatures glide through the currents with powerful tails, and soft-bodied animals scuttle across the seafloor with delicate legs. Coral-like structures begin to grow into small reefs, providing shelter for countless species that weave between their branches in slow, graceful motion. Predator and prey move in complex interactions, shaping each other through evolution, creating ecosystems that feel interconnected, alive, and balanced. In this time, Earth is experiencing the Cambrian explosion, a remarkable burst of diversity that brings forth the ancestors of nearly every major group of animals that exists today. From your peaceful vantage point, you can imagine drifting above this underwater world, watching countless new forms emerging in slow, steady waves of innovation. The oceans feel brighter, more colorful, and full of quiet energy, as though the planet is celebrating the beauty of complexity and the power of evolution. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine rising gently toward the surface once more, letting the shimmering colors fade into soft blues and pale light. The oceans have awakened into vibrant ecosystems, filled with life that moves with purpose, energy, and quiet resilience. The stage is now set for another transformation, one that will carry life from the water to the land, shaping the continents in ways more dramatic and beautiful than ever before. As the oceans continue to flourish with vibrant and complex life, imagine yourself drifting upward once again, letting the deep blues lighten into soft turquoise as you rise toward the surface. The world beneath you is full of movement now, full of shapes and colors that drift, shimmer, and glide through the ancient waters. But above the waves, the continents remain bare, quiet, and untouched, waiting patiently for the next chapter of Earth's unfolding story. The coastlines stretch for thousands of kilometers, shaped by tides, storms, and gentle erosion. At first glance, they appear empty, but just beneath the waterline, something new is beginning to happen. Burly plants, small and simple, start to gather in shallow lagoons, clinging to rocks, spreading across mudflats, and forming thin, green films that move softly with the tide. These early organisms are the pioneers of land, the first living forms to touch the world above the water. Imagine drifting closer to one of these shorelines, watching as mats of tiny plant-like organisms spread across the wet sand, slowly adapting to life in the thin boundary between water and air. They glow faintly in the sunlight, absorbing energy, releasing oxygen, and gradually learning to anchor themselves more firmly to the ground. Their presence begins to stabilize sediments, slowing erosion, and creating the first real footholds on land. As time moves forward in slow, sweeping cycles, these early pioneers give rise to more advanced plants, each one slightly more capable of surviving away from the water. Some develop simple structures that help them remain upright, while others form early roots that dig into the soil for stability. The shorelines begin to change color, shifting from the muted browns and grays of bare rock to soft shades of green that spread gradually across the landscape. Picture the continents from above, watching gentle patches of vegetation grow larger with each passing era. Moss-like plants creep across damp surfaces, forming soft carpets that glisten under rainfall. Tiny, fern-like structures emerge, sending delicate fronds into the air, capturing sunlight with graceful, feathered leaves. As these early plants expand inland, they help shape the atmosphere even further, releasing more oxygen, thickening the protective blanket above, and making the air more breathable for future life. With plants stabilizing the ground and enriching the soil, the land becomes more inviting, offering new opportunities for creatures that once lived only in the water. Slow, wandering movements begin to appear in the shallow coastal pools. Small, fish-like animals with strong fins navigate the boundary between sea and land, learning to push themselves through mud, testing the weight of their bodies in the thin, warm air. Their simple limbs, still soft and unrefined, mark the earliest steps toward life on land. Imagine drifting over one of these coastal regions, watching as early vertebrate creatures pull themselves onto the damp shore with slow, deliberate motions. Their movements are awkward, their bodies heavy in the unfamiliar environment, yet they persist, returning to the water when needed, but venturing farther with each passing generation. These pioneers evolve gradually, developing stronger limbs, sturdier skeletons, and simple lungs that allow them to breathe air more effectively. With each adaptation, the land becomes less foreign, more reachable, more welcoming. As life continues to explore the continents, the vegetation grows more abundant, creating small clusters of early forests that rise like soft green islands across the terrain. Tall, tree-like plants emerge, sending their trunks upward to capture the sunlight above the smaller plants. Their canopies form gentle layers of shade, cooling the ground beneath them and creating the first complex habitats on land. Ferns and mosses spread across the forest floor, while early insects with delicate wings drift between the branches, beginning new food webs that connect land and sky. From your peaceful vantage point, imagine drifting across a landscape that has transformed from barren rock to a soft tapestry of green. Rivers carve their paths through the land, fed by rainfall that now cycles through the atmosphere with calm predictability. Lakes form in low basins, reflecting the growing forests in still, glassy surfaces. The air is filled with the scent of newly formed vegetation, and the sound of wind moving gently through the leaves feels like the first quiet whisper of Earth's future forests. As the continents continue to shift, climates vary across regions, creating a tapestry of environments that support an expanding diversity of life. In warm, humid areas, lush forests thrive, while cooler regions host hardy plants that cling to rocky ground. Some areas become swampy and rich with nutrients, giving rise to dense vegetation that reaches skyward in soft spirals of growth. In these environments, early amphibians explore the water's edge, moving between ponds and forests with delicate, rhythmic steps. With the rise of plants and forests, the atmosphere changes once again, gaining oxygen in greater abundance and forming a more stable balance of gases. The blue color of the sky deepens. Weather patterns grow more organized. The world becomes more recognizable, more familiar, more alive, in a way that mirrors the Earth you know today. The continents are no longer quiet stone. They are vibrant, growing landscapes filled with movement, sound, and gentle cycles of life. Imagine drifting through one of these early forests, watching beams of sunlight fall through layers of leaves, creating soft patterns on the ground below. Small creatures crawl among the roots, tiny wings flutter through the air, and early amphibians hide beneath damp logs, blending into the soft textures of the woodland floor. Everything feels calm, balanced, and full of possibility, as if the planet is slowly awakening to its full potential. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine rising above the forests, letting the green canopy stretch beneath you like a living blanket covering the continents. The oceans remain rich with life. The land is now teeming with plants and early animals, and the atmosphere is stabilizing into a warm, protective layer that will support countless future generations of life. As time drifts onward in calm and steady waves, imagine the once bare continents transforming further, becoming rich, green worlds filled with forests, swamps, rivers, and growing habitats that hum quietly with sea air. Life. The early plants that once clung to the edges of shorelines have now evolved into towering trees, their roots reaching deep into the soil, their branches weaving into living canopies that stretch across valleys and hills. From above, the continents appear quilted in shades of green, soft and textured, rippling gently in the wind like a vast tapestry of life. If you drift closer to the surface, imagine gliding between the branches of one of these ancient forests. Ferns rise in delicate spirals from the forest floor, their fronds opening like soft feathers beneath the filtered light. Tall tree trunks lift toward the sky in smooth, steady lines, and vines hang from their branches like gentle drapes of green. The air is warm, humid, and filled with faint scents of moss, soil, and the quiet breath of growing life. This is a world of stillness, yet beneath the calm surface, countless small movements shape the rhythm of each day. Early insects drift through the air with soft, fluttering wings, glinting in beams of sunlight as they weave between leaves and branches. Some crawl along the forest floor, climbing over roots and decaying logs, breaking down organic matter that enriches the soil. Others carry pollen from plant to plant, beginning the earliest threads of the intricate relationships that will one day define ecosystems. Their movements may seem small, yet they influence everything around them, guiding the growth of forests and shaping the evolution of other creatures. As you continue to drift, imagine the presence of early land animals, moving slowly through the undergrowth with careful, deliberate steps. Amphibians with smooth, damp skin hide in shaded pools and quiet streams, emerging only when the air is cool and the ground is soft. Some venture farther from the water, exploring new regions with cautious curiosity, learning to survive in drier environments, and developing stronger limbs to carry them across the forest floor. Over time, the conditions of Earth encourage the rise of new creatures, ones better suited to life away from the water. Early reptiles begin to appear, their bodies covered in protective scales that shield them from the dry air. They move with slow, steady confidence, exploring forests, riverbanks, and rocky outcrops, laying hardy eggs that can survive on land without the need for constant moisture. These early reptiles represent a quiet evolutionary breakthrough, allowing life to truly claim the continents as home. Imagine watching one of these ancient reptiles basking in a patch of sunlight, absorbing warmth through its scales, then slipping between rocks with gentle, unhurried motions. They hunt small insects, scuttle across fallen logs, and help shape the delicate balance of the growing food webs around them. Though simple compared to future species, their presence marks a profound shift in the story of life, opening new pathways that will echo across millions of years. As forests grow denser and swamps deepen, Earth becomes a place where life thrives in layers. In the low, humid environments of ancient wetlands, enormous insect species begin to appear, supported by high oxygen levels in the atmosphere. Dragonfly-like creatures with wide wings glide through the warm air, casting shadows over still ponds and mossy ground. Millipede-like animals the size of small logs crawl through the undergrowth, feeding on rich vegetation. Though their forms may seem unusual, they add a sense of mystery and wonder to the forests of this early world. Throughout these landscapes, rivers carve pathways through the land, winding between hills and forests, carrying nutrients from mountains to lowland swamps. These rivers become lifelines for countless species, supporting lush vegetation along their banks and guiding animals to water sources that reflect the shifting light of the ancient sky. Lakes form in valleys, their surfaces smooth and reflective, mirroring the trees and clouds with perfect clarity. These calm waters hold quiet stories of their own, housing fish, early amphibians, and delicate plants that swayed gently beneath the surface. As the continents continue their slow drift across the planet, climate patterns shift once more, creating new environments that support diverse forms of life. Some regions grow warm and tropical, filled with thick vegetation and steady rainfall. Others become cooler, more temperate, with forests that change subtly with the seasons. These regional differences encourage species to adapt, evolve, and spread into new habitats, deepening the interconnected web of life that shapes the Earth. Imagine rising above these forests, watching the continents stretch in all directions, covered in rolling green patterns broken only by mountains, rivers, and wide swamps. The atmosphere above them continues to stabilize, circulating warmth, moisture, and oxygen in gentle cycles that support the growing complexity of life. Sunlight filters through the shifting clouds, casting soft beams across the treetops, while distant storms roll slowly across the horizon like quiet, rumbling waves. In this era, Earth becomes a world of abundance, filled with vibrant life that thrives in countless forms. Early reptiles grow larger and more varied. Insects dominate the air with their drifting, shimmering wings, and forests stretch endlessly across vast stretches of land. The oceans remain rich and diverse, teeming with life that continues to evolve in harmony with the world above the waves. Everywhere you drift, you feel the planet settling into a rhythm of balance, growth, and quiet energy. As millions of years continue to pass, these early forests deepen, becoming thicker, richer, and more complex. Organic material accumulates in swamps and wetlands, forming deep layers of decaying plants that will one day turn into coal, storing the memory of ancient forests in seams hidden beneath the Earth's surface. The land becomes a patchwork of habitats, each one contributing to the stability of the planet and the blossoming of life that now fills both sea and sky. As this chapter draws to a gentle close, imagine rising slowly above the ancient forests, watching them ripple in the wind like a living sea of green. The world below is thriving, full of movement and quiet cycles, shaped by evolution, sunlight, and time. In the next chapter, Earth will continue its transformation as the continents shift again, climates change, and new species rise to prominence, bringing the world ever closer to the landscapes and creatures that will one day feel familiar to us. As time continues its gentle, unhurried sweep across the planet, imagine drifting high above the continents once more, watching them move slowly across the surface like vast, drifting rafts of stone. Plate tectonics, steady and patient, continues to guide the land masses into new configurations, creating mountain ranges, opening new oceans, and closing old ones. Though these changes unfold over millions of years, they feel calm and deliberate from your peaceful vantage point, as if the Earth is reshaping itself with quiet intention. During these long cycles, climates begin to shift, sometimes warming gently, sometimes cooling into calmer periods. Rainfall patterns change, moving across continents with slow predictability, carving rivers, feeding forests, and shaping environments in countless ways. The forests that once dominated the land continue their expansion, while some regions transform into vast swamps filled with towering trees, thick undergrowth, and warm, humid air that carries the scent of ancient prada. Vegetation. Imagine drifting down into one of these prehistoric swamps, watching enormous tree ferns and primitive conifers stretch upward toward beams of sunlight that filter through the heavy canopy. Beneath them, tangled roots weave through the damp ground, while mosses, fungi, and early seed plants create soft carpets of green that cushion every step. Insects buzz gently through the thick air, their wings catching droplets of moisture as they drift between fronds and branches. The world feels lush and heavy, filled with layers of life that thrive in warm, fertile environments. As the atmosphere continues to stabilize and oxygen levels remain high, animals grow larger, stronger, and more diverse. Amphibians that once explored the forests in small, cautious steps now evolve into broader, more confident forms, some resembling early crocodile-like creatures that glide through swamps with smooth, silent septi motions. Others develop stronger limbs, wider bodies, and more complex behaviors that allow them to navigate forests, streams, and riverbanks with increasing agility. Meanwhile, early reptiles continue to expand across the land, exploring new habitats, developing sturdier skeletons, and laying eggs in safer, drier environments. Some grow into imposing, large-bodied creatures with strong jaws and protective scales, while others remain small and nimble, darting between undergrowth to feed on insects and small prey. Their diversity increases with each generation, adding layers of complexity to ecosystems that shift in response to climate and geography. As the continents drift closer together again, Earth begins one of its great transitions. The land masses slowly merge into a supercontinent known as Pangaea, forming a single colossal stretch of land that dominates the planet. From your vantage point above the world, watching this transformation feels like observing the slow closing of a vast, ancient puzzle. Oceans shrink or widen at the edges of the supercontinent, currents reconfigure, and climates shift dramatically in response to the new geography. The interior of Pangaea becomes dry, arid, and vast, with temperatures that swing widely between day and night. Yet along its coasts, and in regions where lakes or rivers provide water, life thrives in remarkable forms. Early conifer forests stretch across hills and valleys, creating habitats for reptiles that begin to take on new shapes and sizes. Some evolve into lightweight, agile creatures that sprint across the forest floor, while others grow larger, more powerful, and more imposing. As time continues, Earth experiences gentle cycles of climate change. Some periods become warmer, filling the continents with dense forests and vibrant ecosystems. Other periods grow cooler, encouraging the rise of different species better suited to shifting conditions. Throughout these long fluctuations, life adapts with remarkable resilience, finding new ways to move, feed, and survive in a world that is always changing, yet always balanced by the slow rhythm of deep time. Out of this ancient landscape, early archosaurs begin to emerge, distant ancestors of creatures that will one day dominate the land. They appear first as small, agile animals that move on two legs, darting between plants with quick, light steps. Over millions of years, they evolve into an astonishing range of forms, some slender and swift, others strong and powerful, each one adapting to the opportunities and challenges of their environment. Imagine drifting through these ancient forests and open plains, watching these early creatures navigate the world with surprising grace. Their bodies are efficient, their movements fluid, and their senses sharpened by millions of years of quiet evolution. They feed on insects, plants, and small animals, creating intricate food webs that stretch across forests, wetlands, and shallow lakes. As oxygen levels settle into long-term balance, the sky above becomes clearer, brighter, and more stable. Storms roll across the landscape with predictable patterns. Seasonal cycles deepen, creating migrations, growth periods, and resting cycles that shape the behavior of countless species. Earth feels alive in every direction, from the deep oceans to the high forests, from the humid swamps to the vast interiors of the supercontinent. Eventually, small, feathered creatures begin to appear, their delicate bodies covered in wisps of early plumage that help regulate temperature and assist in gliding or insulating their forms. They hop between branches, glide through open spaces, and represent yet another quiet step in the steady evolution of life on Earth. Their presence adds a sense of lightness and grace to a world increasingly filled with diverse and complex species. As time stretches forward, the ecosystems of Pangaea become more intricate, with predators and prey engaging in subtle dances of survival, balance, and adaptation. Some creatures grow into towering giants that walk with heavy, rumbling steps, while others remain tiny and delicate, hiding beneath roots or gliding between trees with soft, gentle motions. The world feels rich, layered, and full of ancient life that thrives in harmony with the changing planet. As this chapter draws to a calm close, imagine rising once more above the vast expanse of Pangaea, watching the land glow softly beneath the ancient sun. Rivers wind across the continent like delicate silver threads. Forests ripple with life, and the oceans surrounding the supercontinent breathe in slow, steady currents. Earth is preparing for another transformation, one that will reshape the continents again, diversify life even further, and bring new eras filled with remarkable creatures and changing worlds. As millions of years continue to drift by in soft, unhurried waves, imagine the great supercontinent of Pangaea beginning to feel gentle stresses deep within its foundations. The mantle below shifts, swells, and circulates with slow, persistent energy, creating subtle cracks that stretch across the land, like faint lines in ancient stone. At first, these changes are quiet, barely noticeable, yet they signal the beginning of one of Earth's most transformative periods. From your peaceful vantage point high above the world, imagine watching these cracks widen over unimaginable spans of time. Small valleys deepen into rift zones, warm magma rises from the mantle, and the land slowly separates into great fragments that drift apart like calm, drifting rafts. The supercontinent that once dominated Earth begins to divide into smaller continents, creating new coastlines, new oceans, and new pathways for evolution. As the continents separate, the surrounding seas deepen and widen, allowing warm currents to circulate more freely across the planet. These new ocean routes carry heat and moisture in different patterns, shifting climates in ways that influence every corner of the world. Regions that were once dry begin to receive rainfall, and areas that were once lush grow cooler or more seasonal, shaping the environments in which life continues to evolve. Imagine drifting over the early Atlantic Ocean as it forms between the separating landmasses. The water is warm, shimmering, and full of nutrients carried by newly established currents. The coastlines on either side are steep and rugged at first, carved by the slow tearing of the land, yet over time they soften, forming sandy shores, sheltered lagoons, and rich coastal ecosystems that welcome new forms of life. On land, the breakup of Pangaea creates new valleys, plains, and mountain ranges. Forests shift their boundaries, spreading into regions made fertile by fresh weather patterns. Rivers carve new paths across the continents, glistening as they wind through landscapes filled with ferns, conifers, and early flowering plants that begin to add gentle color to the world. The air is humid and warm in many regions, filled with the scent of ancient vegetation, and the soft rustle of leaves stirred by gentle breezes. As these landscapes expand and diversify, so does the life upon them. Early dinosaurs, descendants of the archosaurs that once moved quietly across Pangaea, now grow into a remarkable assortment of shapes and sizes. Some are small and delicate, darting between trees with quick, graceful steps. Others grow large and imposing, their long necks swaying above the treetops as they feed on high vegetation. Their bodies, balanced and efficient, move with a slow, rhythmic grace that feels almost meditative when seen from above. Imagine drifting through a prehistoric valley where herds of gentle, long-necked sauropods move in calm procession, their heavy steps vibrating softly through the ground. Around them, smaller herbivores feed among the low ferns, while early predatory dinosaurs lurk at the edges of forests, their movements silent and cautious. The ecosystem feels balanced, shaped by countless interactions that have been refined across millions of years of evolution. In coastal regions, warm lagoons and shallow seas become home to new marine reptiles, their sleek bodies gliding through the water with smooth, effortless motions. Some have long, paddle-like limbs that cut through the waves with calm precision, while others drift near the surface, rising occasionally to breathe the ancient air. They share these waters with early fish, squid-like creatures, and gentle invertebrates that fill the warm seas with quiet, drifting life. High above these ecosystems, the sky changes as well. Small, feathered creatures become more numerous, gliding between trees, hopping across branches, and filling the air with gentle movements that signal the early stages of flight. Their feathers, soft and delicate, help regulate temperature and assist in short glides, while their sharp eyes and light bodies make them agile explorers of the prehistoric forests. As the continents drift further apart, climates grow even more varied. Some regions remain warm and tropical, filled with thick forests and humid air. Others shift into drier conditions, giving rise to open plains where new species evolve to thrive in wide, sunlit spaces. In cooler areas, forests of conifers and early flowering plants spread across rolling hills, creating layered ecosystems that support a wide array of life. Imagine drifting over vast desert regions that form in the interior of large continents, where rainfall is scarce and temperatures swing between warm days and cool nights. These deserts, though harsh, host their own unique species adapted to the shifting sands and dry winds. Meanwhile, coastal regions continue to thrive with humidity and warmth, creating lush environments filled with thriving plant and animal life. The world during this time feels vibrant, balanced, and full of movement. Dinosaurs roam across open plains, forests, and river valleys, while insects buzz gently through the air, and early mammals, small and quiet, live in the shadows of larger creatures. The oceans teem with life, and the new continents drifting further apart create countless opportunities for evolution to explore new forms, behaviors, and environments. As millions of years pass, flowering plants begin to spread more widely, adding bursts of color to the ancient landscape. Their petals, soft and delicate, attract insects that help carry pollen across the forests, deepening the interactions between plant and animal life. The world becomes more interconnected, more intricately woven, with food webs that rely on delicate exchanges driven by climate, geography, and the gentle cycles of nature. From above, the Earth appears full of gentle patterns, coastlines shaped by drifting continents, forests shifting with climate, rivers carving through valleys, and countless species moving through these environments with quietine sheen. Purpose. It is a world alive with possibility, shaped by deep time, patient forces, and a slow unfolding of life in all its forms. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine rising slowly into the sky, watching the continents drift apart like soft brushstrokes across a vast canvas. The planet beneath you feels balanced and alive, preparing for the next great chapters that will bring new climates, new species, and dramatic shifts that shape the world you recognize today. In the next chapter, oceans will shift again, new mountain ranges will rise, and Earth will enter the age of dramatic climate cycles, ancient migrations, and the continued rise of life across land, air, and sea. As the continents continue their long, drifting paths across the face of the Earth, imagine the planet settling into a familiar but ever-evolving rhythm. Oceans widen and narrow with patient persistence, mountain ranges rise slowly along the edges of colliding plates, and climates shift in graceful cycles that unfold over millions of years. From your peaceful vantage point high above the world, everything appears to move with a softness that feels almost hypnotic, as if the entire planet is breathing in long, deep, calming waves. The separated continents of the once mighty Pangaea now host their own unique environments, each shaped by latitude, ocean currents, volcanic activity, and the gentle motion of tectonic forces beneath them. To the west, imagine the young Atlantic Ocean stretching wider with each passing million years, its currents swirling with warmth, carrying moisture, nutrients, and quiet vitality across vast distances. To the east, the ancient Tethys Sea glimmers with soft sunlight, providing a warm cradle for countless marine creatures that glide through its gentle waters. If you drift closer to the surface, imagine the oceans of this era as warm, shallow, and filled with vibrant life. Coral reefs expand into intricate structures, built slowly by small organisms that layer calcium carbonate upon calcium carbonate, forming underwater labyrinths that shelter fish, crustaceans, and second, early marine reptiles. These reefs shimmer with soft colors beneath the clear water, their surfaces dotted with delicate shapes that sway gently with passing currents. Schools of ancient fish drift by in loose patterns, their movements calm and fluid, carried by the slow pulse of the sea. As you move inland, ancient coastlines give way to vast river systems that wind through fertile lowlands. Early flowering plants grow along the banks, their petals opening to the warmth of the prehistoric sun, attracting insects that carry pollen from one bloom to another. Forests of cycads, conifers, and giant ferns spread across valleys, their leaves rustling in gentle breezes that drift from the sea. The land is alive with movement now, both large and small, each creature playing a role in the quiet balance of the ecosystem. In some regions, immense deserts stretch toward the horizon, formed by the shifting patterns of rainfall and wind that arise as continents drift to new latitudes. These deserts, though stark, have their own quiet beauty. Rolling dunes cast long shadows during the day, while at night, cool air settles softly over the sand, carrying the faint scent of minerals and distant vegetation. Small reptiles scuttle across the ground, leaving delicate trails behind them, while hardy plants anchor themselves in sheltered pockets, surviving on sparse moisture carried by passing winds. Farther south, warm tropical regions flourish with dense forests and rich ecosystems. Huge herbivorous dinosaurs roam these environments, feeding on high leaves and low ferns, moving through the ancient forests with slow, measured steps that echo gently across the landscape. Imagine drifting beside a towering sauropod as it lifts its long neck to reach tender leaves in the upper canopy, its gentle breaths filling the air with a soft rhythm. Smaller dinosaurs weave between its legs, their movements quick and graceful as they feed, explore, or seek shade beneath the larger creature's protective bulk. Predatory dinosaurs, efficient and alert, move through these landscapes with fluid precision. Some stalk prey across open plains, their footsteps quiet and deliberate, while others rely on bursts of speed to ambush small herbivores at the edges of forests. Their senses are sharp, their bodies honed by millions of years of evolution, yet even their movements feel measured and balanced from the calm vantage point, where you observe, as if everything on Earth moves in a coordinated, patient flow. As the continents drift further apart, collisions between certain plates create great lines of uplift where mountains rise slowly into the sky. Imagine watching these mountains form, not through sudden change, but through the gradual stacking of rock upon rock, pushed upward by deep forces that never rush. Over millions of years, jagged peaks emerge, valleys deepen, glaciers gather on high summits, and rivers carve through the stone in winding paths that glisten in the sunlight. The land reshapes itself quietly, steadily, and beautifully. These mountains influence the climate of entire continents, redirecting winds, guiding storms, and creating rain shadows that define ecosystems far beyond their slopes. On one side, lush forests thrive beneath frequent rainfall. On the other, dry plains stretch under vast skies, home to species adapted to open space, sunlight, and the rhythms of seasonal drought. The diversity of life grows steadily, shaped by geography and climate in a harmonious, interconnected dance. In the seas, marine reptiles continue to glide with serene power. Ichthyosaurs dive through shimmering schools of fish, their sleek bodies slicing through the water like living arrows. Plesiosaurs rise to the surface for air, their long necks curving gently as they lift their heads above the waves. Burly turtles drift calmly through shallow lagoons, while ammonites spiral slowly through the depths, their shells reflecting soft light in swirling patterns. The underwater world feels like a quiet symphony, with each creature moving to its own gentle rhythm. Above the land and sea, the sky becomes a place of increasing movement as early birds take flight. Their feathers shimmer in the sunlight as they glide between branches or soar above open plains, mastering the air with growing skill. Some have long tails that help them balance as they navigate forests, while others experiment with stronger wings and more aerodynamic shapes that allow them to travel greater distances. Their soft calls echo through the air, adding layers of sound to the developing ecosystems below. Throughout these long ages, early mammals remained small, quiet, and watchful. They scurry beneath ferns, hide in burrows, and search for food under the cover of night. Though overshadowed by larger animals, they continue evolving in subtle ways, preparing for a distant future in which they will rise to prominence. Their presence adds a sense of continuity, a delicate thread connecting past and future as the world moves through its long journey of transformation. As climates shift again, certain regions grow cooler, encouraging migrations, adaptations, and the rise of species suited to changing temperatures. Coastal areas flood or retreat as sea levels adjust, creating new habitats for marine and terrestrial life. Some forests thin out into wide open plains, while others deepen into sprawling jungles that hum with life beneath dense canopies. Earth feels dynamic, alive, and full of variations that shape every living thing in gentle, intricate ways. From your calm vantage point high above the world, imagine watching these transformations unfold like a slow, beautiful film. Continents drift, oceans breathe, forests rise and fall. Species appear, adapt, and fade, each one contributing to the grand tapestry of life that stretches across the planet. Everything feels balanced, everything feels patient, and everything feels connected to the deep rhythms of time. As this chapter draws to a close, imagine rising slowly through the atmosphere once more, watching the continents glow beneath drifting clouds. The stage is set for the next era, one marked by great changes, great challenges, and the resilience of life in the face of shifting worlds. In the next chapter, oceans will fluctuate, climates will transform again, and Earth will approach the threshold of one of its most dramatic transitions. As millions of years continue to pass in long, gentle rhythms, imagine drifting once again above the ancient Earth, watching the continents spread into familiar but still shifting shapes. The world is warm, humid, and rich with life, filled with inland seas that shimmer beneath bright sunlight, forests that ripple softly in warm breezes, and vast plains where great creatures move with patient grace. From your calm vantage point, everything appears balanced, settled into a serene period of abundance that stretches across wide stretches of deep time. The separation of the continents has created new coastlines, new island chains, and new climates that vary across the face of the world. Inland seas expand in some regions, forming shallow, warm waters that glow with soft turquoise shades beneath drifting clouds. These seas are filled with ancient marine life that glides gently through the water, creating a world of quiet motion and subtle color. Shoals of fish move like silver ribbons across the sunlit shallows, while gentle marine reptiles rise to the surface for hair before drifting down again into the calm blue depths. Imagine drifting above one of these inland seas, watching small waves ripple across the surface as they pick up the warm light of the prehistoric sun. The air is thick with moisture, carrying the faint scent of ancient vegetation and distant forests. Along the shorelines, early flowering plants spread their delicate petals toward the sky, adding soft colors to the banks where rivers meet the sea. These plants, quietly efficient, begin to transform ecosystems in subtle ways, attracting insects that weave between them with fluttering wings, creating new pathways for pollination, growth, and renewal. If you glide inland, imagine entering forests that are now even more lush and layered than before. Giant conifers rise toward the sky, their branches creating deep canopies that filter sunlight into gentle patterns on the forest floor. Beneath them, ferns and cycads spread wide fronds that sway with the breeze, while flowering plants add splashes of color to the dense undergrowth. These forests hum with life, supported by warm temperatures, abundant rainfall, and deep soils rich with nutrients left by generations of decaying vegetation. Within these ancient forests, dinosaurs of all shapes and sizes move through the undergrowth with calm, rhythmic steps. Herbivores graze on the low plants or stretch their necks to reach higher foliage, while smaller creatures dart between the shadows, quick and alert. Larger carnivores move with slow, deliberate power, each step placed with care as they navigate fallen logs, thick vegetation, and winding paths through the trees. Their movements feel purposeful yet unhurried, guided by instincts shaped over millions of years. In open plains, herds of massive dinosaurs range across wide areas that stretch beneath clear skies. Their feet press into soft soil, leaving impressions that will one day become fossils. Trails wind through the grasses, shaped by countless generations of these ancient giants. Smaller species follow in their wake, seeking safety in numbers and finding food among the plants that grow in the giant's shadow. Everything in these ecosystems feels balanced, as though each creature knows its place within the gentle flow of the world. The air above these plains is often filled with drifting shapes, small feathered creatures gliding between branches, pearly birds soaring on thermal currents, and insects shimmering in loose spirals beneath beams of sunlight. The sky feels alive in its own quiet way, carrying warm breezes, drifting spores, and the scent of distant rain. Clouds gather and part above the landscape, shaping shadow and light into slow, calming patterns that ripple across the land. As the continents continue their slow drift, new mountain ranges rise along their edges, formed by collisions that push layers of rock upward in patient, powerful motions. These mountains create new environments where cooler temperatures encourage the growth of different plant species. Streams trickle down their slopes, carving paths through ancient stone, gathering into rivers that flow toward the plains and inland seas. The sound of running water fills these landscapes with gentle energy, adding another soft note to the symphony of ancient earth. In higher regions where the air grows thin, early mammals find places to hide and thrive. Though still small compared to the dominant dinosaurs, they have become more diverse and adaptable. Some climb trees with nimble movements, using sharp claws and light bodies to explore branches and search for insects or fruit. Others burrow into soft soil, creating winding tunnels that shelter them from predators and weather. Their fur helps regulate body temperature, giving them an advantage in cooler environments and allowing them to explore new habitats with quiet resilience. Marine life also continues to evolve in the oceans, which remain warm, clear, and full of color. Imagine drifting through shallow waters where coral reefs stretch like underwater cities, intricate and alive. Schools of fish weave between the coral branches, while gentle marine reptiles glide above, casting shifting shadows on the reefs below. In deeper waters, larger predators patrol the open sea, their sleek bodies moving with slow, deliberate motions as they search for prey. Throughout these eras, climate variations continued to shape the planet. Some periods grow warmer, encouraging vegetation to spread widely across the continents. Others grow slightly cooler, prompting migrations and adaptations that help species survive shifting environments. Rainfall patterns change, creating new wetlands in some areas and expanding deserts in others. Yet even as climates shift, life continues to adapt, finding balance through quiet perseverance. As flowering plants become more widespread, their presence gradually transforms the landscapes. They introduce new colors, new scents, and new interactions with insects and small animals that help spread their seeds. Forests filled with these early flowers develop richer ecosystems, attracting pollinators that seek nectar and pollen. This delicate relationship between plant and animal marks another step toward the world you recognize today, a subtle but important turning point in the story of Earth. Imagine rising above the continents once more, watching them glow beneath scattered clouds. The world feels stable and abundant, full of life that thrives in endless forms. Yet beneath this calm surface, changes continue to ripple slowly through the planet. Shifts in temperature, slight movements in the crust, and subtle variations in ocean chemistry. These signals mark the beginning of another long transformation, one that will eventually reshape ecosystems, climates, and species in dramatic ways. As this chapter comes to a gentle close, imagine drifting higher into the sky, leaving behind the forests, plains, mountains, and seas that hung with ancient life. Earth remains full of wonder, full of quiet energy, full of delicate interactions that guide the rhythm of evolution. In the next chapter, the world will approach a threshold, a slow building change that will set the stage for one of the most dramatic events in Earth's history. A moment that will reshape the future of life in ways both quick, profound, and far-reaching. As the warm, abundant world of the late Mesozoic continues to stretch through time, imagine drifting high above the Earth once again, watching the continents settle into shapes that begin to resemble the ones you recognize today. North America drifts away from Europe, South America pulls gently from Africa, and the Indian subcontinent moves steadily northward, carried by deep, powerful currents in the mantle below. Each movement is slow, subtle, and peaceful when viewed from above, as though the Earth is adjusting itself with patient, thoughtful care. Beneath you, vast inland seas continue to carve through the continents, creating warm, shallow waterways that glisten under the ancient sun. These seas nurture vibrant marine ecosystems, where gentle reptiles, ammonites, and early species of fish drift through calm waters. The currents carry warmth into coastal environments, creating humid regions filled with lush vegetation and deep forests that ripple softly in the breeze. Imagine descending toward one of these forests, letting the warm air settle around you as you glide between towering conifers and the spreading canopies of early flowering trees. Sunlight filters through the leaves, casting patterns of soft gold and gentle green onto the forest floor. The air is rich with the scent of sap, flowers, and moist soil, a fragrance that speaks of a world overflowing with energy and growth. Insects drift lazily through the shafts of light, while small mammals hide among roots, moss, and fallen logs, their quiet presence adding delicate layers to the ancient ecosystem. In these forests, dinosaurs continue to thrive in remarkable forms. Large herbivores move through the undergrowth, their footsteps soft and rhythmic as they feed on ferns, shrubs, and low-lying branches. Some stretch their long necks toward the treetops, pulling leaves with slow, steady bites. Others graze closer to the ground, using their beaks or broad mouths to sweep through thick vegetation. Their movements are calm, purposeful, and guided by instincts refined over millions of years. Along the forest edges, smaller dinosaurs dart between the shadows, quick and graceful. Some hunt insects with delicate precision, while others feed on fruit, seeds, or small reptiles they surprise with swift movements. Their feathers, soft and light, shimmer gently in the sunlight, hinting at the evolution of flight that continues quietly in the sky above. If you lift your gaze toward the treetops, imagine early birds gliding between branches with elegant, sweeping arcs. Their feathers bend and ripple with the airflow, and their calls echo lightly across the canopy. Some hop between branches with cautious grace, while others soar above the forest, riding warm currents that rise from sunlit clearings. Their presence adds music to the landscape, a gentle chorus that accompanies the deeper sounds of the ancient world. Beyond the forests, open plains stretch across broad regions of the continents, shaped by shifting climates and the steady retreat or advance of inland seas. These plains host herds of large, peaceful herbivores that wander across wide expanses of grass-like plants, stopping to drink at shallow rivers and peaceful lakes. The air above these plains is often filled with drifting dust, caught by warm breezes that roll across the land in soft, shimmering waves. Predators move through these open areas with careful, measured steps. They pause to listen, to smell, to sense the movements of the herds in the distance. Some hunt alone, using quiet persistence and bursts of speed to capture their prey. Others hunt in small groups, coordinating their movements with subtle signals and patient anticipation. Yet even in these moments of pursuit, the world feels calm, as though the pace of time itself softens the edges of every action, every motion, every breath. As the continents continue drifting, new mountain ranges rise where plates collide. The Himalayas begin their earliest formation as India presses slowly into Eurasia, though they are still small compared to the towering peaks they will one day become. Along the western edges of the Americas, volcanic arcs form where oceanic crust sinks beneath continental plates, adding new layers of rock to growing mountains. These volcanic regions release ash and minerals into the air, subtly influencing climate, soil, and the distribution of ecosystems across vast regions. Imagine drifting above one of these volcanic ranges. You see long ridges of dark stone, steaming vents rising gently into the sky, and rivers of cooling lava that harden into new land. The air carries the faint scent of minerals, and the ground vibrates softly with the deep, slow pulse of tectonic energy. Even this, a deep expression of Earth's interior power, feels unhurried and balanced when viewed from your peaceful vantage point. These geological processes shape the climate in ways both subtle and profound. Some periods become warmer, allowing forests and tropical ecosystems to spread further north and south. Other periods cool slightly, encouraging migrations and adaptations that allow species to thrive in changing environments. Rainfall patterns shift, sometimes creating long, lush seasons, sometimes bringing extended dry periods that challenge life to become more resilient. Through all these changes, early mammals continue their quiet evolution. They remain small, often confined to the forest floor or hidden burrows, but they grow more diverse as climates and landscapes change. Some evolve into agile climbers with keen senses for navigating trees, while others become swift runners that dart between the shadows of the plains. Their brains grow more complex, their social behaviors more nuanced, their ability to adapt more refined. Though they are overshadowed by the larger creatures of their time, they carry within them the seeds of future dominance. In the oceans, marine life continues to flourish. Warm, shallow seas create perfect conditions for coral reefs, where countless species of fish, mollusks, and crustaceans thrive in peaceful abundance. Large marine reptiles patrol deeper waters, their bodies moving with elegant, sweeping motions that resemble the gentle rhythm of ocean currents. Beneath them, the sea floor shifts quietly, forming ridges, trenches, and underwater mountains that rise and fall with the movement of tectonic plates. Above the oceans, enormous flying reptiles soar through the air with wingspans that stretch across great distances. Their silhouettes drift against the sky like shadows cast by ancient clouds. They glide effortlessly, catching thermal updrafts over cliffs and coastlines, and searching the waters below for fish that shimmer near the surface. Their presence adds a sense of grandeur to the skies, a reminder of the immense diversity that fills the world. As time approaches a new turning point, subtle changes begin to ripple through the planet. Volcanic activity increases in certain regions, releasing gases and ash into the atmosphere. Ocean currents shift as continents move into new positions. Weather patterns grow more variable, with periods of cooling that ripple through ecosystems. Some species adapt quickly, shifting their ranges, altering their diets, or changing their behaviors, while others find the transitions more challenging. From your quiet vantage point above the Earth, these changes unfold slowly, gently, like the faint stirring of a breeze before a change in weather. The world still feels rich, vibrant, and filled with life, yet beneath the surface, the conditions that shaped the golden age of the dinosaurs begin to drift away from perfect balance. And so, as this chapter comes to a close, Imagine rising slowly through soft layers of cloud, watching the forests, plains, and seas fade into the distance. The dinosaurs continue their peaceful existence below. The continents continue their drifting journey, and the planet continues to breathe in long, steady cycles. But the next chapter will bring dramatic shifts, a slow, quiet build toward a moment that will forever alter the course of life on Earth. In the next chapter, we will move toward the threshold of change, watching Earth transition into the final days of the ancient world before the gentle calm gives way to one of the most significant turning points in the Growl, planet's history. As millions more years slip quietly across the surface of the Earth, imagine drifting once again above the warm, familiar landscapes of the late Cretaceous, a time when the ancient world reaches its final bloom of abundance. The continents continue to drift into recognizable shapes, arranging themselves into patterns that echo the map you know today, although the details remain soft, shifting, and alive with motion. From your calm vantage point, the world appears vibrant and balanced, filled with layers of life that move in gentle rhythms beneath drifting clouds. The climate during this era is warm and stable, bathed in soft sunlight that nurtures forests across the continents. Inland seas still cover large regions, shimmering beneath the sky, carrying warm currents that help regulate temperatures across the land. Coastlines stretch in long, sweeping arcs, shaped by rising and falling sea levels that respond to slow geological changes far below the surface. These coastlines are rich with mangrove-like vegetation, tidal flats, and shallow lagoons that support countless species. Imagine drifting closer to one of these ancient seas, watching gentle waves roll across soft, sandy shores. The water is warm and clear, home to colorful fish, drifting plankton, and graceful marine reptiles that glide with slow, steady movements. In some regions, coral reefs continue to flourish, forming underwater structures that sway in the currents, sheltering small creatures that dart between branches of living stone. Everything feels calm, glowing with the quiet energy of a world at peace. On land, flowering plants now dominate the landscape, spreading their colors across fields, riverbanks, and forest floors. Their petals, delicate and bright, attract insects that weave between blooms, carrying pollen from plant to plant. Bees, wasps, beetles, and butterflies drift through the air in lazy spirals, adding softness and texture to the warm, prehistoric breeze. Their presence deepens the bond between plants and animals, creating intricate relationships that continue to shape ecosystems long into the future. Forests during this time are diverse and full, with trees that rise tall and straight, their branches reaching toward the sky in layered canopies. Beneath them, the ground is carpeted in ferns, flowering shrubs, and mosses that create a soft, living foundation for countless small creatures. The air is rich with humidity and the scent of vegetation, while beams of sunlight filter through the canopy in shifting patterns that dance across the ground. These forests are alive with subtle sounds, the chirping of insects, the rustle of leaves, the gentle movements of animals navigating the undergrowth. Among the trees, dinosaurs continue to thrive, each species perfectly adapted to its environment. Enormous herbivores move through the forests with slow, steady steps, their long necks reaching into the higher branches as they browse peacefully. Some travel in groups, their soft calls echoing between the trees as they communicate with one another across the landscape. Others prefer quiet solitude, wandering along forest paths carved by generations of gentle footsteps. In open plains and river valleys, herds of horned dinosaurs graze among flowering plants, their frilled heads and curved horns silhouetted beautifully against the prehistoric sky. They move with calm confidence, aware of the predators that watch from the shadows, but secure in the strength they possess as a group. Nearby, long-billed hadrosaurs roam in gentle herds, their calls carrying softly across the land as they communicate with their young and navigate the shifting seasons. Predatory dinosaurs remain an ever-present part of this ancient world, moving with elegance and quiet power. Some stalk prey in the forests, using dappled shadows to disguise their presence as they move with slow, fluid precision. Others roam the plains with steady confidence, their eyes sharp, their senses refined, their bodies built for balance, speed, and patience. Even in moments of pursuit, there is a softness to their movement when viewed from your vantage point above, a sense that every motion is part of a deep, ancient rhythm that guides life across the earth. Small mammals, though still overshadowed by the giants that roam the land, continue to grow more diverse and more adaptable. They scurry through the undergrowth, glide from tree to tree, or burrow beneath the surface, finding comfort in environments that offer protection from larger animals. Their fur grows softer and more specialized, their senses sharpen, and their behaviors evolve toward greater intelligence and flexibility. These early mammals are quiet observers of the ancient world, waiting patiently for their moment in the long story of life. In the skies above, early birds take flight with increasing grace. Their feathers shimmer in the sunlight as they glide between trees or soar over open plains. Some specialize in catching insects on the wing, darting through the air with precise, agile movements. Others search for small prey on the ground, using sharp eyes to locate the slightest motion below. Their melodies fill the forests with gentle calls, adding texture to the warm, ambient soundscape of the prehistoric world. As you rise above these forests and plains, imagine drifting southeast across the warming coastline and out over the seas. Here, ocean life remains vibrant, dynamic, and deeply interconnected. Large marine reptiles glide through deep waters with powerful yet fluid motions, rising occasionally to the surface where soft waves break against their smooth bodies. Schools of fish shimmer in the open ocean, forming swirling patterns that glint in the sunlight. Even beneath the calm exterior, currents move in slow, sweeping motions that distribute warmth and nutrients across the sea. Yet beneath this era of balance, subtle signs of planetary change begin to unfold. Volcanic regions become more active in certain parts of the world, releasing gases into the atmosphere that gradually influence global temperatures. Shifts in sea level alter coastlines, creating new habitats while submerging others. Weather patterns grow slightly more unpredictable, bringing longer periods of rain to some regions and longer dry seasons to others. These changes are gentle at first, almost imperceptible, like the soft turning of a page in a vast ancient book. Some species adapt with ease, adjusting their behaviors or shifting their habitats to match the changing climate. Others find the transitions more challenging, slowly losing ground as their environments reshape around them. The delicate balance of life continues, but the subtle hints of future upheaval are beginning to appear, carried quietly beneath the rhythm of deep time. Imagine drifting high above a region where volcanic activity has begun to increase. You see towering plumes of ash rising into the atmosphere, spreading into thin veils that drift across continents. The sunlight becomes slightly filtered, the air a little cooler in certain seasons, and the ecosystems respond with slow adaptations. Forests shift in composition, some species retreating while others expand, and animal migrations adjust to new patterns of rainfall and temperature. Meanwhile, the oceans continue their quiet transformation. As continents drift and currents shift, some waters become cooler, altering the distribution of marine species. Certain regions grow more productive as deeper currents bring nutrients to the surface, while others become warmer and less oxygen-rich. Life adapts, evolves, and redistributes across the seas, responding to slow, patient changes that shape the ancient oceanic world. Through all of this, the dinosaurs remain central figures in Earth's story. They continue to dominate the land with strength, grace, and incredible diversity, thriving in environments that offer abundant vegetation, stable climates, and wide spaces for herds to roam. Their presence gives the world a feeling of grandeur and timelessness, as though this ancient age might continue forever. But deep beneath the surface, the Earth is preparing for something new, something that will change the planet in dramatic ways. The quiet signals continue increased volcanic activity, shifts in ocean chemistry, changes in global temperature, and subtle disruptions to ecosystems. These signals are faint, gentle, and easy to overlook, yet they form the first whispers of the great transition that lies ahead. As this chapter draws softly to a close, imagine rising slowly through warm layers of air, letting the forests, plains, and inland seas fade beneath drifting clouds. The world is still rich and full of life, still glowing with the warm light of the ancient sun, still moving through cycles of calm and abundance. But the next chapter will bring a turning point, a moment of sudden change that reshapes the course of evolution and opens the door to new worlds, new species, and new eras of life on Earth. As ages continue to drift gently across the ancient world, imagine Earth moving quietly through the late Cretaceous, a time still rich with forests, warm seas, drifting clouds, and thriving life. The atmosphere carries the familiar softness of a stable climate. Warm breezes wander across broad plains, and herds of dinosaurs continue their graceful movements through fields of flowering plants and early grasses. Everything feels calm from your peaceful vantage point, as though the planet has settled into a serene rhythm that might continue forever. But deep beneath this stillness, small signals of change continue to ripple through the Earth. Volcanic regions remain active across parts of the world, releasing gases, ash, and heat into the atmosphere. Shifts in ocean chemistry, subtle yet persistent, influence the distribution of marine life. Continental drift alters the shape of coastlines and the direction of currents, creating quiet adjustments in rainfall, temperature, and seasonal patterns. These signals are not dramatic, not abrupt, but they grow steadily over millions of years, weaving a soft undercurrent of transformation into the fabric of the world. Imagine drifting high above a dense forest in the late Cretaceous, watching tall conifers sway beneath drifting clouds. The air is warm, humid, and rich with the scent of ancient vegetation. Sunlight filters down in soft golden beams that dance across the forest floor. Below, herds of peaceful herbivores move in gentle procession, grazing on ferns, cycads, and flowering plants that now dominate the landscape. Small feathered dinosaurs dart between branches, while early birds glide through warm air currents with effortless grace. The world still feels abundant, vibrant, and full of movement. In the distance, great inland seas shimmer beneath the sky, their waters teeming with marine life that drifts through warm, shallow depths. Soft currents carry nutrients through these seas, supporting reefs, fish, and graceful marine reptiles whose smooth bodies glide with a beauty that mirrors the waves themselves. On the muddy shores of these seas, early turtles bask in warm sunlight, and delicate plants spread across the edges where land and water meet in harmonious patterns. But as climates shift, even the calmest regions begin to experience subtle change. Some forests grow drier, their undergrowth thinning slightly as rainfall patterns adjust. Other regions grow wetter, supporting dense vegetation that spreads into new areas. Seasonal cycles deepen, guiding migrations, nesting periods, and feeding habits among countless species. From above, the changes feel gentle, like soft ripples across a pond, but they shape ecosystems in quiet and meaningful ways. In the oceans, chemical shifts create new challenges for certain species, while others thrive in changing conditions. Some regions become richer in nutrients, encouraging blooms of plankton that feed vast schools of ancient fish. Other areas grow warmer or more stagnant, inviting different communities of marine life to settle and grow. The seas continue to breathe in slow, steady motions, shaped by currents born from the drifting continents and the deep energy of Earth's interior. As you drift across the continents, imagine passing over volcanic regions where quiet eruptions send ash into the atmosphere. The ash drifts in thin layers across the sky, filtering sunlight in faint, delicate veils. This effect is subtle and temporary, but over long periods, repeated eruptions influence the climate, creating cycles of warmth and cooling that guide the evolution of species. Forests adjust, plains shift, animals migrate, and life continues with soft determination, adapting to the gentle unfolding of change. Throughout this time, dinosaurs remained central inhabitants of the world. Their diversity is extraordinary, ranging from towering giants that graze on treetops to small, agile species that weave between roots and branches. They nurture their young, communicate through calls carried across open grasslands, and wander through landscapes that have shaped their existence for millions of years. Their presence gives the late Cretaceous a sense of grandeur, a feeling of steady continuity that seems almost unshakable. Small mammals, however, are becoming more adaptable, more intelligent, and more diverse. They continue to hide in burrows, climb trees, and navigate nighttime environments where larger creatures rarely tread. Their senses sharpen, their behaviors become more flexible, and their ability to thrive in cooler, darker, or more isolated environments gives them a quiet advantage in a world that is slowly shifting. Though still small, still humble compared to the giants of the age, they are preparing for the world to come. Imagine drifting higher into the sky, gazing down at the planet as it moves through soft cycles of light and shadow. Clouds drift across continents in long, slow caravans, bringing gentle rain to forests, storms to distant plains, and clear, bright skies to the coasts. From your vantage point, these weather patterns appear calm, predictable, and serene, yet they carry the first hints of greater change, small variations that accumulate over time, guiding ecosystems toward new directions. It is during one such cycle, quiet and unremarkable in the moment, that the Earth experiences a visitor from beyond its skies. High above the atmosphere, an object begins its journey toward the planet. It moves quickly, far faster than anything within the atmosphere itself, guided not by intention, but by the ancient forces of gravity and cosmic motion. From your peaceful vantage point, you witness its approach as a faint glimmer against the distant stars, growing brighter as it nears the blue curve of the Earth. As it enters the atmosphere, the object burns brightly, a trail of glowing light streaking across the sky. It moves with immense speed, but in this story, there is no need for harsh detail. Think of it instead as a bright, passing phenomenon, a moment of brilliant illumination that touches the surface of the world with sudden transformative force. The impact sends a gentle ripple of change across the planet, like a stone dropped into a vast ancient lake. Dust rises softly into the atmosphere. The sky dims a little. Temperatures shift, and ecosystems begin a slow, quiet process of adaptation. Life does not vanish all at once. It changes, it shifts, it reorganizes. Some species struggle and fade, while others endure through resilience, flexibility, and the ability to navigate new conditions. Seeds lie dormant in soil, waiting for seasons to stabilize. Burrowing animals remain sheltered in the earth. Forests regrow, slowly and patiently, as sunlight filters once again through the clearing sky. From your gentle vantage point, you see not destruction but transition, a turning of the page, a shift in the long story of Earth. The age of dinosaurs slowly drifts into memory, not with abruptness, but with the quiet unfolding of time, restoring balance in new forms. Life retreats, then returns. Ecosystems reshape themselves, and the planet, steady and resilient, continues its slow rotation beneath drifting clouds. In the wake of this great transition, new possibilities emerge. Small mammals begin to explore newly vacant habitats, adapting with remarkable speed to environments once dominated by much larger creatures. Plants spread across landscapes cleared by time and change, covering the ground with soft greens and vibrant flowers. Birds diversify, filling the skies with a new generation of feathered species that explore forests, plains, and coastlines. The world begins to feel familiar again, not because it resembles the modern Earth just yet, but because its rhythms, renewal, growth, gentle resilience echo the patterns that have shaped every chapter of its history. The atmosphere clears. Sunlight returns in full, warm brightness. The seas regain their color, and forests grow once more, ushering the planet into a new era defined by fresh energy, new opportunities, and the quiet unfolding of life once again. As this part of the final chapter comes to a close, imagine rising slowly into the sky, letting the world below fade into soft distance. The next batch will carry us through the rise of mammals, the shaping of modern ecosystems, the cooling of the climate, and the peaceful emergence of Earth as it exists today. As the dust of the Great Transition slowly settles across the Earth, imagine drifting high above a planet beginning to breathe again, gently and steadily, beneath an atmosphere that softens with each passing season. The forests return, the plains green once more, and the oceans regain their calm, shimmering colors. The sunlight, filtered through a cleaner sky, warms the land in slow, comforting waves, encouraging the quiet persistence of life to flourish again in renewed forms. The great dinosaurs are now memories etched into the fossils beneath your drifting presence, leaving the world open for new chapters of evolution. Though the loss of ancient creatures changed the landscape deeply, the Earth responds as it always has, with resilience, patience, and the slow rebalancing of nature. Plants spread across open spaces. Rivers carve fresh paths across the continents. And mammals, once small and hidden in the shadows of giants, begin to explore the world with gentle curiosity. Imagine drifting down toward a forest clearing in the early Paleogene, where the air is warm and filled with the scent of rich soil. Small mammals scurry across branches, leap between trees, and rustle the undergrowth as they search for fruit, seeds, or insects. Their bodies are soft and warm, covered in fur that helps regulate their temperature, giving them a new freedom to explore environments once dominated by reptiles. Over millions of years, these mammals diversify into countless forms. Some evolve into small, nimble creatures that glide through trees with graceful arcs, their limbs stretching beneath delicate folds of skin. Others become strong runners that navigate open plains with smooth, rhythmic strides. Some take to the water, developing streamlined bodies that help them swim through lakes, rivers, and shallow seas. A few grow larger, their bodies adapting to fresh diets and new habitats that emerge from a changing world. As the continents rearrange themselves through slow tectonic drift, new mountain ranges rise, new coastlines form, and new climates take shape. The Himalayas grow taller as India continues its northward journey, pushing into Eurasia and lifting rock into towering peaks that pierce the sky. Their height changes global weather patterns, guiding winds across continents, redirecting rainfall, and cooling regions that once basked in warm, ancient sunlight. Imagine drifting above these rising mountains, watching glaciers form along their summits. The Whiteboo ice, shimmering like quiet crystals beneath the sun, begins to influence rivers that flow into broad plains below. These rivers feed forests, nourish lakes, and form deltas rich with life, weaving new patterns across landscapes that evolve slowly with each passing millennium. Elsewhere, the Atlantic Ocean widens further, guided by mid-ocean ridges that continue to release warm currents into the sea. Africa edges closer to Europe, slowly closing the ancient Tethys Sea. North and South America shift into more familiar positions, their coastlines adjusting to changing sea levels that rise and fall in patient cycles. Australia drifts gently away from Antarctica, carried by deep forces beneath the crust that never rush, never pause, simply flow with the steadiness of Earth's ancient breath. As these global movements shape the continents, climates adjust across the surface. Some regions grow warmer, while others cool. Forests thin in certain areas, giving way to open grasslands that ripple like green oceans beneath wide skies. These grasslands create new opportunities for evolution, encouraging mammals to grow larger, faster, and more adaptable. Early horses, small and delicate at first, begin to take advantage of the open plains, developing longer legs and more efficient strides. Early elephants evolve from smaller ancestors, learning to move across wide savannas with slow, powerful grace. Predators evolve alongside them, becoming more agile, more coordinated, and more intelligent. Early cats, nimble and silent, refine their senses as they adapt to hunting in the tall grasses. Canine ancestors learn to work in small groups, their social instincts deepening with time. Everything evolves with soft precision, responding to the interplay of climate, geography, and chance. As millions of years pass, Earth slowly cools, guided by shifts in ocean currents, volcanic activity, and the arrangement of continents. Ice begins to accumulate at the poles, forming sheets that grow and retreat in rhythmic cycles known as ice ages. During cooler periods, great glaciers creep across northern continents, carving valleys, shaping coastlines, and influencing sea levels that fall and rise with each slow pulse of global temperature. During warmer periods, the ice retreats, leaving behind rich soils and fresh landscapes that support new cycles of life. Imagine drifting above an early Ice Age landscape. Soft blankets of snow cover wide regions, and the air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of frozen water and evergreen forests. Early mammoths wander across these snowy plains, their thick fur rippling gently in the cold wind. Mastodons, closely related but preferring wooded environments, move through forests dusted with frost, foraging among conifers and ancient oaks. Giant ground sloths move with slow determination, pulling down branches with powerful, deliberate motions. The world feels quiet, white, and peaceful, shaped by the slow rhythm of glaciation and retreat. Throughout these cold and warm phases, oceans continue to guide climate patterns. Warm currents bring mild temperatures to regions near the equator, while cold currents flow along the coasts of continents, carrying nutrients that feed rich marine ecosystems. Whales evolve from ancient land mammals, returning to the sea with powerful tails and smooth bodies that carry them across oceans with long, sweeping strokes. Dolphins emerge later, their intelligence growing with time, their movements playful and graceful as they navigate complex underwater environments. Birds diversify across continents of varying climates, filling forests, plains, cliffs, and coastal regions with melodies that drift through the air like soft threads of sound. Some species adapt to soaring high above the land, riding warm updrafts with wings outstretched. Others specialize in diving into water, catching fish with delicate precision. Some become tiny, hovering beside flowers with rapid wing beats, contributing to the pollination of blooming plants that spread across continents with bursts of color and scent. As grasslands expand, new ecosystems develop. Herds of grazing animals begin to fill the open spaces, shaping the landscape through their daily movements. Their feeding patterns influence the growth of grasses, which adapt with deeper roots and faster recovery after grazing. Predators follow these herds, guiding them into new regions, influencing migrations, and contributing to the balance of the ecosystem. Humans begin as a quiet, subtle presence in this world, small, intelligent primates living among forests and grasslands in Africa. At first, their role in the broader story is gentle and unassuming. They climb trees, gather fruits, and navigate their environments with curiosity and awareness. Over countless generations, their bodies and minds evolve toward greater dexterity, communication, and understanding of the landscapes around them. Imagine drifting above early hominins as they explore the savanna, their movements cautious yet purposeful, their social bonds guiding them in small groups. They learn to walk upright with confident strides, freeing their hands for tools, for food, and for shaping their environments in subtle but significant ways. They observe the rhythms of nature, the movement of herds, the cycles of seasons, the patterns of weather, and adapt with remarkable resilience. As Earth's cycles continue, ice ages advance and retreat again, shaping coastlines, valleys, rivers, and plains. Human ancestors follow these shifting patterns, exploring new territories, discovering new environments, and developing new tools that help them thrive in a world that continues to evolve. Over time, they spread into Asia, Europe, and eventually beyond, their presence becoming one of many threads woven into the deep tapestry of Earth's story. Throughout all of this, Earth remains steady, patient, and filled with gentle movements. Forests rise and fall. Oceans expand and contract. Mountain ranges continue their slow growth. Life adapts in endless forms, filling every corner of the planet with quiet beauty, resilience, and purpose. The world gradually transitions into landscapes that feel increasingly familiar. The forests, mountains, rivers, deserts, and coastlines you know today. As this penultimate batch draws to a close, imagine rising through the atmosphere once more, watching the continent settle into the arrangements you recognize, shaped by millions of years of drifting, colliding, and reshaping. The next and final batch or bring us gently into the modern era, exploring Earth as it is now, before guiding listeners into a slow, peaceful closing descent toward sleep. As you drift above the Earth as it is now, shaped by billions of years of quiet change, imagine the continents resting in their familiar places, surrounded by deep oceans that breathe with the tides, the winds, and the long rhythm of the planet. Forests sway across mountains and valleys, deserts glow beneath warm sunlight, rivers wind through ancient landscapes, and clouds drift gently across a blue sky that wraps the world in soft, calming light. Cities now glow faintly along the coastlines, small islands of warmth that sparkle against the darkening earth. Roads and fields weave across the continents like delicate threads, signs of the species that emerged late in the planet's long story, shaping their surroundings with creativity, curiosity, and care. And yet, even with all these changes, the deeper rhythm of the world continues. Oceans rising and falling, seasons drifting from one into the next, forests breathing in quiet cycles that stretch far beyond the span of human time. From your peaceful vantage point, the Earth feels calm, steady, and endlessly patient. Every mountain, every river, every coastline carries stories shaped by millions of years. And every moment of wind, rain, sunlight, or starlight is part of a gentle continuum that will continue far into the future. This planet, wrapped in its soft band of atmosphere, still spins in slow, steady motion beneath the stars, turning night into day and day into night, with a comforting rhythm that has never faltered. As you float a little higher, the details of the world soften into a serene mosaic of colors and shapes, deep blues of ocean, greens of forests, warm golds of deserts, cool whites of ice and snow. The lights of evening begin to glow across the continents, and the curved horizon glimmers with the faintest halo of blue, a reminder of the thin, delicate air that protects all life below. And now, as this journey comes to an end, allow yourself to sink gently into your own quiet stillness. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts soften. The vast timeline of Earth has settled into a peaceful whisper, and there is nothing left for you to do but drift. Feel the calm of the planet beneath you. Feel the soft weight of your body relaxing. Feel yourself gently descending into rest, carried by the same patient rhythm that has guided the Earth since the beginning of time. You are safe, you are calm, and the world is quiet. Let the story fade into a soft, endless night and allow sleep to find you, slowly and peacefully.